In this video, we're going to learn how to position an image in the background of your web page to achieve sort of a 3D effect. If you can see how it appears as though here this gray part and this graphic, it seems to be sliding over the top of that image, gives it sort of a 3D effect. So the way we achieve that is we stick an image into the background of an element itself, not using an image tag, but we paste it up against the background of an element itself. Okay, so here we are. We're at our web page, and what our goal is to stick that image right in this white strip. And if you watched my previous video, you'll remember that I just put in in my HTML and CSS, I just called these strips, right? So we want to stick that in here. Okay. Now, so you can see I've added in some strips here because one thing you need to remember is that if you don't have enough web page content, it won't slide. Your browser won't slide, right? It won't do any sliding. The total, I guess you could say, length of your web page content from the top way going down here all the way to the bottom, there has to be enough of it, and normally there always is, unless you're talking about the about page or the contact page. Usually the front page has enough content so that you're going to get this sliding effect, and if it doesn't, I suppose you could just add more. Well, you can tweak it after you get how it works. You can tweak it. All right, so remember here we used an image tag to insert an image, but now what we're going to do is we're going to try to slap an image, sort of shellac it or paste it up against the back of this body tag. And then these different strips, as we scroll down the page, they will appear to sort of magically float above the surface of this body tag, or the image in the background of the body tag. All right, so here's our body tag. Right now, we just have one property. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do background image. Okay, and in this one, it's a little different than an image tag. We use this URL. Okay, and I'm going to go to my images folder, and I've got once again, I've forgotten to put this in my image tag. All right, there we go. Image. Original scoop pig. Okay, so here I've got my background image. Now these next things are very important. Now we want to do, okay, that's the image itself. Now we want to adjust its position. Okay, and where is it going to start, and where is it? Okay, now this. All right. So what I'm going to do is these positional coordinates are based on x and y coordinates. So we're going to say 0 for the x and 0 for the y. Okay. And, well, okay. Actually, those are top, left, right, bottom as well. So if we have an image that starts from here, well, how can I? Okay, well, we'll just do this. If this were my image, okay, and I wanted it to start at, if I wanted it, this background image to begin in the upper left-hand corner, I would set the left to 0 and then the top to 0. Okay? And then the image will sort of then just draw itself out across the element where we set it as the background. In this case, it's the body tag. So if the image was 200 pixels wide by 100 pixels high, it would go 200, 200, 200, 200 like this, and then it would go, and then it would draw itself at 100, 100, all the way 100. So it would be like a rectangle right here. Okay. And okay. So, but with ours, and that's also what we want to do with ours. But now, let's take a quick look back at this image. This one has a width of 1,366 and a height of 800. That's its natural dimensions. We don't necessarily need to keep those, and we're not going to. Depending on the image you're using and the effect you want to create, you may need to adjust it, and you may need to have to play around with it, but it's easy enough, right? So now we have background repeat. Okay, and we want no repeat. So you may have seen, we don't want the same image to repeat itself over and over and over, layering and repeating the same image over and over again. We don't want that. We just want it to show up one time. Okay, we just want it to lay itself out based on these position coordinates just one time. And now, something very important, we want to do this background attachment, and we're going to say fixed. That means when someone scrolls the viewport, and the viewport is the browser window, or the viewport is the phone, or whatever, or your tablet, whatever, your browser, then it is going to stay in the same place. It's not going to move, right? We set this thing to draw it to begin in the upper left-hand corner at 0 and 0, right? And we want it to not to just stay there in terms of this viewport window. So if I scroll, it thinks it's supposed to position itself right up here. Here's the start. Here's the uppermost part of your browser window right there. And here's the left part right here. And so if it's 0, top 0, left 0, so it will stick itself right here and keep itself there. Even though I'm scrolling, it's not going to move. So remember, we have this, remember how we called this strip the special strip. So the special strip, it'll be moving upwards, but no matter what happens with all of these strips, including the special strip, which doesn't have a background color, right? Remember, the special strip doesn't have a background color. This one has one. This one, all these other strips, it has a background color. Okay, but the special strip doesn't. So the image is going to show up through it. And so what's going to happen, it will appear as though that it's above it, but it will just show whatever is remaining, given the fact that it's fixed here. Okay, so let's see here. So that is what fixed will do. Now background side. Now I'm gonna give it this height, and you can play around with it, and of course what this does is it will stretch it and move it, and proportionally different parts of the image will change. Okay, so you need to have all these. Let's see if that works. Okay, there we go. So now I slide, and there it stays fixed. Okay, it stays fixed in this position. Now we don't see the image here with this strip, or with this strip, or with these ones, because it has a property set. It has a background color set, so it covers it up. All right, that should do it. Now, here's another thing, you guys. I could have positioned this image. I could have positioned this image in this particular div tag, this header div tag, using a background property if I wanted to. So there's more than one way to skin a cat. If your native language isn't English, when we say there's more than one way to skin a cat, that just means there's more than one way to do things. All right.